It was the day after I turned 13 that I started finding these clippings on my dresser. My mother cut them out of the Ladies' Home Journal, and they had titles like Surviving the Troublesome Teens or The 6 Teenage Dangers. Now, while they were on my dresser, I never went near it, and I would have never touched them. Then, after 4 or 5 days, they would suddenly disappear. Now, my mom and I have never actually talked about these articles, and I never actually saw her put them there or take them away. But unlike puberty, this was not a very difficult puzzle to solve. Our parents often tell us that these are the best years of our lives, but let's be honest, growing up can be tough. People can tell you what to expect, but until you experience it firsthand, you never know what life has to offer. At the Hop by Ron Carlson. Then one day, I saw something different on my dresser. It was a pamphlet. I thought, pamphlet, how bad could it be? So I picked it up. Understanding puberty. Sounded a lot like a travel brochure. Inside, I found a diagram of the male reproductive organ. It looked a lot like Florida. 2 pages later, I found a picture of the female reproductive organ, and it looked a lot like nothing, like lines. I tried to imagine Carol Wilkes or Linda Akins with one of these, but I couldn't. If I had seen a picture of a naked girl and she looked like this, I would have ripped my eyes out. As I'm looking at the pamphlet, my mom calls down to me, "Larry, don't be late for the party." Busted. She knew I was down here looking at this dirty pamphlet. So I did the only thing I could think of. I spent the next 10 minutes arranging that pamphlet on my dresser, 1/8 of an inch at a time, until it looked completely untouched. Perfect. The party's at Linda Akins' house. As we walk up, Mrs. Akins opens the door and welcomes us in. In the kitchen, there are a bunch of kids who just seem to spill out a large sliding glass door onto the patio. The kids in the kitchen are mostly girls, and the kids on the patio are mostly boys. But before I could get onto the patio myself, Mrs. Akins takes me by the arm, and she says she wants to show me where the soft drinks are. She takes me into the bright yellow utility room off the kitchen. Well, sure is a nice room, Mrs. Akins. No, where do you think the soft drinks are? The fridge? No! She laughed and laughed as if I had just asked, "Are they in the hedge?" And then she opened up the washing machine to reveal that it was full of ice. I read about this little trick in Party Hints in the paper. Of course, you have to unplug it to be safe. That sure is a great party trick, Mrs. Akins. Well, a good party starts with good planning. Finally, she awarded me my cream soda, and I was able to fade out the large sliding door onto the backyard. Linda Akins is on the corner of the patio fiddling with her hi-fi. She's got a wire rack of records in front of her, which she's busy arranging and rearranging. Hi, Linda. Larry, I'm so glad that you came. And you could tell by the way she says it, she actually means it. I hold up my soda. In the washer. You want one? No, I've got to get the records ready, but will you dance with me later? Sure, Linda. Then for a while, Mr. Akins is serving hot dogs, and Mrs. Akins is showing everyone the wonderful washing machine. At this point, I'm just trying to do the 3 things my mom taught me. Stand up straight, not drink my soda in 4 gulps, and not hang around the potato chips. My friend Fen is hanging around the potato chips. Obviously, his mom didn't talk to him. Then Linda put on a record, and kids started to dance. It was mostly the bigger kids, the kids who weren't afraid of looking stupid. I was afraid of looking stupid, so I went to go get another soda when, "Larry, I haven't seen you dance yet. Are you ready? Sure, Linda. Now, up until this point, the party had continued pretty easily. I'd mainly experimented with new ways of holding my soda as to not warm it up so quickly with my hands. But now, I stood with Linda Akins at my side. Then song began, and I commenced the two-step, as taught in my gym class. But instead of this being the normal stepping and steering motion we had learned the year before, it was different. First, Linda's head collapsed against my chin, and I thought I was going to have to carry her to a chair. But then I noticed she was moving all right, just in these tiny little microscopic shuffle steps, and I thought to myself, I can do this. And for the next few moments, I concentrated merely on not knocking her over. But then, I had it. Linda's forehead was against the corner of my chin, and though I tried to stand up straight, I found my head against hers, and we danced that way. And it was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. As the song ends, I peel my face away from Linda's forehead. At this point, I don't even know where I am or what's happening. All I know is that Linda has my hand, and she's pulling me through the dancers, off the patio, and into the darkness of the side yard. From there, we could hear music start. It was poetry in motion. The sweat in the fringe of her hair is reflected in the moonlight. And then she looks up at me with this look I've never seen before, not even in the movies. She puts her arms around my neck, pulls herself up as I come down, and we kissed. Now, I don't know if it was a short kiss or a long kiss. All I know is that she was against me and I against her, and our lips met. I do remember looking down and noticing that her eyes were closed, and I thought that was pretty neat. Then she stood back down on her heels and smiled at me, gave my hand one last squeeze, released it, and returned back to the party. Now, the first thing I did when she left was look around to make sure no one was watching. But then I realized, I'm not going back to the party. I could do everything there was to do. I could dance, get soda from the washing machine, not gobble the potato chips. But it just wouldn't be the same. To go back to the party now and to go back to Fen and his ultimate party gags would be like going back to my childhood, which just seemed behind me now.